Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Series 1. One sentence summary. Buffy slays vampires whilst trying to lead the normal life of a 16-year-old girl in the 90s. Characters: Buffy, a vampire slayer. Giles, the Watcher who guides and trains the Slayer. Willow, a shy girl who befriends Buffy. Cordelia, popular bitch. The Master, an evil vampire trying to bring about hell on earth. Angel, a vampire with a soul. And Xander, just the worst. What doesn't need improving? Lots of good banter in the writing, and it subverted expectations a couple of times. It's pretty interesting, all things considered. And I learned something watching this. So the Epstein-Barr virus is a type of herpes. So yeah, that's interesting. Lots of interesting references in this as well, like Nerf herders and Scooby-Doo, and a robot voice that's calling someone Dave. What does need improving? So I'll give the special effects a pass on this because they're like 20-year-old or more. Even though like on some of the prosthetics you can see where they are stuck on people's faces, and that looks pretty naff. How old are the actors who are playing 16-year-olds? That's just a question I had. And what's with the intro? Why is the voice so scary? And why is there only one Slayer per generation? And like, what if there's a vampire in France with Buffy, the one Slayer, who's in California? What's going to happen there? How does one become a vampire Slayer? It's destiny, I know that. And Giles already knew who Buffy was before she rocked up at the school. But like, her mum doesn't seem to know anything about it, so it's not like it's inherited. And Giles states that his dad told him he was going to be a Watcher when he was a kid. So like, is that inherited or what's going on? I don't know. What's with the extended dream sequence in the first episode? It goes on for way too long. Buffy drops her bag and a steak falls out on more than one occasion. The first time, it's the only thing she leaves on the floor, and Xander's all like, this is strange. Fucking Xander. But at that point, she doesn't want to be a vampire slayer, so why is she carrying steaks around? Also, it's broad daylight. Why you need steaks in the broad daylight? Another thing, Buffy kickboxes most of the vampires to death and then like stakes them, and they go all crumbly and turn to ash. She's got like a whole secret compartment in her bedroom full of like vampire hunting stuff like holy water and all that kind of thing. Never used in the show. Buffy has super strength because she's the Slayer, but it seems to vary on how strong she is depending on the threat that, you know, she needs to be in. Giles needs to watch out because he absolutely cannot be touching students like that. Like, he's hanging out with them, he's just like, you know, I think he gives them a hug at one point. Nah, the principal, R.I.P., he was very clear that the school had a no-touching policy, and that's sensible. Why are all the kids in town going to this club, the Bronze, every bloody night of the week? Also, that is not a club, that is a bar, because there's like pool tables, and there's a stage. Alright, calm down. Why is the lampshade in Buffy's bedroom upside down? Why don't people see characters who are hiding just out of shot? So they'll be here looking over here, and then there'll be someone like right where the camera is and they can't see them. Just because they're not in the shot doesn't mean they don't exist. Why does the Nosferatu looking dude, the Master, why isn't he wet when he rises out a pool of blood? Alright, he's bone dry, it doesn't make any sense. And I call bullshit on the first episode cliffhanger where Buffy's going to get attacked by a vampire, and then it's all like, nah. But yeah, then the second episode starts where she's got a crucifix just there, and that wasn't there in the last shot, so it doesn't make any sense, she's dead. If nobody is allowed to leave the school during school hours, why are the gates open? You're just asking for trouble, principal man. And you see the girls' locker room a few times in the series, and A, seems an incredibly dangerous place to be, because a lot of bad stuff happens there. And B, it seems to be designed for people to attack you, because like the lockers are all like up here, and the students are walking around, they can't see who's around the corner. In the boys' locker room, which you do see, the lockers are like down here, so you can see over them. You know, who's coming at you, unless that person's invisible. More on that later. Why doesn't the driver's ed teacher have brakes on his side of the car? Or if he does have them, why does he not choose to use them in a potential car crash situation? And why doesn't the truck driver who sees a girl in the road slow down? He's like, I need to get there by 3 o'clock. Doesn't matter if there's a teenager in the road, I'm going. Why was there a jump scare cat in a box full of witch books? That cat is never mentioned before or after, it just lived in the box apparently. There is a lot of slow motion in the cheerleading and hyena episodes particularly, but sprinkled throughout the show, and it feels like they put it in there to pad out the runtime, like in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Some of the deaths in this are absolutely brutal. Prime example, the witch who got turned into a statue, but is apparently still conscious because you can hear her like muffled screaming and her eyes are moving. Is she there forever now, or was she going to starve to death eventually? Who knows? Christ. The sexy science teacher who's hitting on people and killing them. That happens in Smallville, and I know Smallville was made after, but I saw it first, so in my head, this show is copying Smallville. And the same thing happens with the invisible kid. There's always a bloody vampire, but he's hanging about the park, so Buffy's like, man, I'm going to kick this guy's ass. And she's going around the park and she's like, oh no, a dead body. But it turns out it's just a homeless guy who's asleep. She's like, ah, fuck that guy. And just leaves him there. Doesn't even give him any money or like, hey, there's a shelter somewhere, whatever. So the vampire in the park who's attacking people, he's got like a fork for a hand. And he seems to be just like hiding in some bushes, waiting to jump out on people. Has he got nothing better to do with his life? Why would the sexy science teacher, who's a giant praying mantis and eats people, back on that? Same episode, there's a lot going on. Why would she turn her head 180 degrees backwards in the middle of a science lesson so she's looking behind her at the door? Surely that's just going to tip people off that there's something weird about this chick. Who says you're dreaming, not you're sleeping? That's an odd turn of phrase. I was unclear about the guy who's boasting about his sex life, if he was boasting with the number of people he had slept with, or the number of times he had had sex. Either way, bit odd. And I worry about this school because, it's full of 16-year-olds and other teenagers. And it feels like they're exposed to a lot of sexual activity and stuff. At one point, Xander is wearing a t-shirt that says porn star on it. So, that's not good. And he goes to a teacher's house for what he believes would be coitus. Turns out she just tries to eat him and lay some eggs in his brain or whatever. But, the very best that he could have hoped for there was statutory rape. So he's almost lucky that he almost got eaten by a giant praying mantis. Have you ever noticed in this show, if you've watched it, if not, I'm telling you now, that characters believe in supernatural occurrences straight away, unless the plot requires them to be duped by a supernatural thing. Prime example, the praying mantis lady, and also the cyber demon. Why would you shapeshift into a bug back on the praying mantis if you're going to drag someone? Because the praying mantis has not got hands, it's got claws. So it's just going to make it harder. Why would the praying mantis monster be in the Cotswolds in England / Britain? And why would there be talk of this sort of creature in a pre-German language, so presumably located in Europe, when praying mantises do not live in Europe? Also, I'll just say this, again, I'm not going on about the special effects, but unless you're super confident that your giant praying mantis costume looks amazing, probably leave it in the shadows, End of the praying mantis episode. There's a lot to talk about that one. There's a dead teacher who's called Buffy, so she cared about him. His coat is still hanging up in his classroom, and Buffy's all like, sad. But they've had someone come in to replace him, because he went missing. That person turned out to be a praying mantis monster. And then they've had someone come in to replace the praying mantis monster. So, how long has it been that his coat is hanging there? Is anyone going to come and claim his possessions, or what's going on? Buffy goes on a date with a guy called Owen. And I have issues with this dude. Right, so, he says he doesn't go out much, but he's at the same bar twice in 2 days. Also, there's about a 2-foot height difference between him and Buffy. That's okay, I'm sure they can make it work. But, this is the big issue. Owen is very strange. So, he thinks dead bodies and hanging out at the morgue are cool, and he's super stoked that he might get to see a dead body. And at that point, I'm like, no, you can do better, Buffy. And you can tell who's going to be affected by the supernatural stuff in the story, because every every week there's a character who like Buffy, no, Xander and Willow know by name, but you've never heard him before or heard of them before, or you will never hear of them again. And they're like, hey, Steve, how's it going? He's like, oh yeah, man, I'm really good. And then 10 minutes later, Steve is attacked by a demon or something like that. And the prime examples of this are the Bully Kids and the Hyena episode, because they're never mentioned before, or like seen in the previous episodes, and they're never mentioned again. The zookeeper dudes are like, you must stay away from the hyenas, even if they call your name. And Buffy and Willow are like, why? Because they're fucking hyenas. They could chew through a steel bar if they wanted to. Also, they're not supposed to talk. The gym coach who said he loved the brutal game of dodgeball, I thought he was pretty funny. Why is this in the what could be improved section? More of him, there should have been. Do you get detention for eating a live pig that is the school's mascot? Or, what I think you should get, jail time and probably a bad stomach. Why does the principal, RIP, have a picture of himself on his own desk? The kids go to the zoo. The bullies and Xander, who's a dick, get possessed by like the spirit of some hyenas or something. And then they go back to the school and they've gone mad. The bully kids eat the principal. It's harsh. And because he seems to be a good dude. And then like the lead theory, according to Giles, in the teacher's lounge, is that some wild dogs broke into his office and ate him. Why would that be the case? Because people teeth and dog teeth are not the same. And also, those kids, at the end of the episode, it's revealed that Xander's all like, oh man, I can't remember. Oh, I hope I didn't embarrass myself. But he can remember. So those kids remember eating the principal whilst he was alive and probably screaming to death. And then, like, they digested him, probably. So those kids have got to remember that for the rest of their lives. And you've just got to think, no, they're not going to be alright, are they? Buffy does not brush her teeth before she goes to bed. Buffy can reload a crossbow really, really quick, but not as fast as a pistol. I respect the vampire who brought a pair of guns to a fight. And well, I don't know why more of them didn't try that. It worked out really well. Also, why is Buffy, where she's using crossbows and stakes and stuff, why not just use silver bullets or bullets with crucifixes drawn on them or something like that? That would make this hunting thing so much easier. You've sealed a demon in a book. Cool. Demon's not going to be troubling no one no more. Why do you leave that book out in the world? Why not encase it in molten lead or something so the demon can't get out? And you've got the love triangle between Xander, who's a dick, and he likes Buffy, Willow, who likes Xander, she can do better, and Buffy, who likes neither of them. You know, it's pretty out in the open. They really need to resolve that before it blows up in everyone's face in the final episode of the series. I'm fine with that. Teenagers, you know, whatever they want. But the strange thing is, you see inside Willow's locker for a bit, and she's got a picture of Giles. A whole episode about the dangers of online dating. I think that's like something that was pretty popular back in the day. And it's just weird that like you wouldn't do that episode now, because everyone dates online, and you know, even if you go out into the real world today, there's Rona on the streets, so you know, you got to be careful of that. Buffy suspects that Dave is up to no good, so she follows him. But Dave is driving his car, and Buffy appears to be on foot, so I don't know how she follows him across town. Anyways, what's up with the wicked big dent in the side of Dave's car? That's never mentioned, but like, it was noticeable. Turning off your monitor does not turn off the computer. I'm surprised the IT teacher, who's also a witch or something like that, didn't tell her students that. I know it was the 90s, it was early days, but you know, pay attention. I think dummies are cute, don't you? No, Willow, no one thinks dummies are cute. You're insane. My jockey shorts are made out of better material, and they're edible. Too far, creepy dummy. Right, you've gone too far. These are teenagers, you sex offender. Why would a demon who's harvesting people parts so that he can retain human form use a kitchen knife and leave it at the scene of a crime? Was that demon just hanging around the school for a couple of years, just doing normal day-to-day stuff, being a member of society, and then he starts falling apart? He's like, well, I've got to murder a couple of people now and replace my organs. It's very strange. Buffy screams while she's in bed, And she's all like, ah! And then her mum is right through the door, like, straight away. So why was the mum hanging out in the corridor, just ready and pounced? She's full of monster energy. She's ready to roll. There's a kid with a dummy. You know, he's a ventriloquist and the dummy's got a life of his own. He's sitting there in class, like, sitting there trying to learn. He's got the dummy on his hand, which is creepy. And the teacher's just letting him do it. And he's all like, oh, I'm learning maths. And the dummy's all like, oh, I'm going to bloody whatever. Ha! And the teacher's all like, look, shut up, you weirdo. She takes the dummy off him. And I can only assume that she knew, like, he had a brain tumour, which is revealed at the end of the episode. That's why she was letting the dummy slide, like, you know, he's not got much left. Just give him this. But then he was just like, you know what, fuck this. I don't care you got a brain tumour. Give me the fucking dummy, I'm putting it in the cupboard. Anyways, the kid goes back to the teacher after the lesson. And she's like, oh yeah, I'll get your dummy back. Opens the cupboard and it's gone. And the kid's all like, oh, what do you mean it's gone? You're looking at the same cupboard as she is, mate. You can see it's not in there. What's wrong with you? There's an episode where dreams go like into reality and stuff's going wrong. And there's a dude who is like being way cool and his mum comes in and embarrasses him. And at the end of the episode, just as the credits were rolling, I was about to press play on the next one. I noticed that someone was credited as Way Cool Guy. And I've got to assume it was him because he was way cool. What is up with the Anointed One? So, many times in the series, there's this prophecy that the Slayer shall not know the Anointed One, and he shall lead her to doom, or something like that. And then the first time the Buffy sees the Anointed One, she's like, I know who you are. Alright, let's just get this over with. So, the Slayer did know the Anointed One then. What was with the prophecy? Bullshit. What is the point? Much like Buffy's got the holy water and the garlic and all stuff hidden away. What's the point of all that vampire hunting stuff they've got in the library if they never bloody use it, particularly when vampires are attacking the library? Big drama, exciting end. The master falls through the roof of the library and he gets impaled by a broken desk. Go, alright, fair enough. And then the characters are all like, well, that was crazy. Let's go get some ice cream or some shit like that. Are they actually just going to leave the guy's skeleton like in the library for someone to find? So that's what needs to be improved about the show. I'm not done yet. Christ, this is going on for a long time. Rated out of 5 beers. It's not bad. I can see where like modern TV shows get things. I'm sure Buffy didn't invent all of them, but you can see the origin of them. I haven't decided if I'll watch other series. I've been told I should, but like this one was stressful enough. Anyways, 2 out of 5. Yay.